Welcome back to the For Sure Pod. Today's ep is proudly sponsored by lifespark.bio. Check us out if you want to make sure your future kids aren't slow. Today we have a very special guest, someone I've known for 27 years based on my mathematics. And we went to school together for 17 years. That's longer than most marriages last. Look it up. He's my childhood best friend, my former bandmate, and a Division I track star who somehow ended up in finance. He's also engaged, married, actually, rather, to a real girl. Hi, Maggie. Which means he is officially out of the game, but still available for relationship advice, whether we want it or not. Currently, he's working at Atomic Invest, lives in Brooklyn, where he helps people make money while secretly becoming an influencer. Nick Budincich, welcome to the pod. Can you give a quick intro for those who don't know you?
Thank you, Conrad. The band. Really characterized myself by being a band guy with Conrad back in the day. What was the name? 2 Foot Long.
2 Foot Long.
I wonder why we called it that.
I can't think of a reason.
Yeah. Just a couple of 8th graders. I'm your basic normal guy. Living in Brooklyn for a short while longer. I have, as usual, a fake background and trying to live life in a way that reflects my core values every day. You know what I mean?
I like that. For the people in the chat, what are your core values?
Wow. Well, first and foremost, let me point you to my LinkedIn, but I'm gonna maybe skip to the most important one, which is show empathy. I think that's it's a big life lesson. Helps me always to make sure I'm speaking to someone in a way that allows me to connect.
Yeah. No, I love that. Dude, no, hey, we'll cut that or we'll keep it. You never know. We literally went kindergarten through college together, which has to be some sort of a record. I doubt there are many people on planet Earth who went to school together for 17 years.
It's wild. And I think the standout points whenever I'm telling any of my friends about this is our shared 8th grade award. I think it was the first time our middle school shared that award or split it or tied it. It was the like MVP of like athletics or something like that. 8th grade athletics. We took it seriously.
Yeah. So we went to Point Academy, small school, Pasadena, shout out Pasadena. And yeah, we split the best athlete award in 8th grade. Little did they know we were both going to then go to Loyola, all dudes school, lots of dudes, lots of stories there. And then both go to Stanford and play sports. Pretty wild.
Yeah, really. I mean, they actually probably had the foresight and instilled in us that sort of confidence by putting us at the top of that list. I do remember feeling bad because I think they gave a second place to Robbie in the second place. The other core moment that stands out is the bandmates finishing high school, having the same degree also at Stanford.
Yeah. What did we do? Like chemical engineering or something? We did one of the really
pure chemical engineering.
We love chemicals.
Leave it at that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, let's keep it there. I love it. Yeah, dude. But then you went on and threw the shot put, which honestly, dude, I've never really talked to you about that. I feel as though it's kind of interesting because we both did niche things, I would argue, right? You with the shot put, not everyone, like probably less than 1% of people on planet Earth have ever thrown a shot put, right? And then me with kicking, probably less than 1% of people on planet Earth have kicked a football.
Depends on what country you're in and therefore sort of how you define the word football. Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. Playing American football as a kicker. Yeah. I mean, how did it feel? Obviously, I think from the outside in, you're a football player, you know, that's hot.
Dude, totally, man. Like when I was at the bars, I just told girls I was on the team. You know what I mean? Like, oh, what do you do? I play football. And then you just stop talking. You know what I mean? And then if they do know enough to be, what position do you play? And then I would say, I'm a kicker. But normally I would just stop it there and like, hey, let's go get a tequila soda. You know what I mean? Who cares about the semantics? I'm a quarterback, you know?
Yeah. I actually used to say that I was on the football team too for that reason. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's smart. At the old pro. Dude, but how was shot put? And I got to imagine it's a very specific training routine that you do. Can you tell us about your time on the Stanford track team, and were your lifts different than the other guys for shot put?
Yeah, so the short and sweet shot put, and I'll include discus because discus was really my favorite.
Thank you.
a little
We
better at.
can't. We need to include discus.
And so
People love discus.
I actually lead with discus. Hey, I was a discus in shot put,
That's hot. That's way hotter, to be honest.
Discus is a little more recognizable, maybe. Anyway, basically you're throwing heavy things. With shot put, it hurts your hand every time you throw it. So I think like throwing heavy things, you hurt your hand. With discus, you're throwing a little bit less heavy thing. It goes a little further, and everyone sort of likens it to frisbee. So it's kind of like throwing heavy things and frisbee just souped up. From a training perspective, let's see, mostly power cleans, just a big power clean kind of workout. Yeah. The power cleans became one of my babies. But of course, when I spoke to my dad, who you know very well, was actually an All-American shot putter back at USC. Shout out 1977. If I compare myself to him and his liftings, it's really embarrassing. I think he's actually still embarrassed. I think his like power clean was something like mid 400s, like 450. His bench press was like 510. His squat was probably close to 7. So for me, I was sort of a small fry. And honestly, at this point, feel kind of like a small fry, and I like it,
Yeah. Dude, your dad is big, dude. Your dad's chiropractor, big dude, big hands, very intimidating. But dude, you've always been a phenomenal athlete. I maintain to this day, Nick, that at Loyola High School, if we would have had all of our athletes play football, we would have won CIF. So if we would have had Nick Budincich, Alex Slott, John Soteropoulos, Chris Tesserero, some of the basketball guys, we would have been nasty. But obviously, you have to pick your path, dude. Similar to me, I needed to focus on kicking to be able to get recruited as a kicker.
Yeah. It's kind of like The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler, where they recruit the basketball guys, in the context of a prison, and they it really soups things up. I think, the transferability of some of these athletic skills. I'm a tennis guy now. I'm a tennis and pickleball guy. Not really a direct line from shot put and discus, but foot speed, a little general athleticism, but you don't get a whole lot of hand-eye coordination in shot put and discus. So
totally. Supposedly, one of the main indicators of longevity can be attributed to playing tennis. If you play tennis, people live much longer on average.
Causal?
Yeah. Probably not. Yeah, I mean, is it who knows? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of significant factors going on in there for sure. But dude, so last question on track, man. Like, I get this question all the time. Oh, do you miss football? And dude, I don't miss kicking at all. Kicking is so niche and boring, and I miss my teammates and winning games and talking to girls about it, but I don't miss kicking. I don't know about you.
I don't miss it at all. I think, ended up finishing not super strong, I'd say, like senior year, kind of tapered off, didn't have a great season. Happens. Looked back and I was so thankful to be done. It's just a big strain on your body. It's a lot of time. Took a couple of years off of working out pretty much entirely after graduating, and then took it on as like a joy. So now, like, moving my body, working out, playing tennis, gone on a run, like doing some light weight stuff, it's just fun now, and I do it for my health, and that's what it's all about. It's like, if you can do something every day and not feel like you're killing yourself, that's kind of my new life motto. It's the consistency.
Totally, dude. Well, you look lean AF. What is your routine now? I know you said you play tennis, but like, are you still putting up like 315 on bench?
Yeah, note that I didn't talk about my numbers at all, because sort of those are auxiliary. No bench, really no free weights at all. Anti-free weight guy for myself personally, just because I don't want to hurt myself,
Yeah.
And that sounds silly, but a little tweak in your shoulder, a little tweak in your back, now you can't play tennis, so I'm doing some light, I will say, weight stack machines, doing rowing at the gym. It's great. Rowing is one of the hacks. I think it's an unlock. Once you kind of figure out how to move your body and not hurt your back, it's one of the best workouts I've done. Tennis always just comes to the top, though. I mean, it's just fun, right?
Totally, dude. And so now you work at Atomic Invest. What is that for someone who doesn't know what any of those words mean?
Good question. So Atomic is an embedded brokerage services company. So think of us really as Robinhood or Wealthfront in a box that can plug in a white label fashion to other companies, whether those companies are fintechs, banks, credit unions, other variety of financial services companies, or complete non-financial services companies. One example that is not currently a partner of ours, but, as a way to maybe understand it, would be, Venmo. You keep your money in Venmo. You could do something else with it. You could invest it. So Venmo also, I think, release a handful of different capabilities in addition to just the peer-to-peer payments. So Atomic would, in theory, be a provider like that behind the scenes. Any follow-up questions?
Got it. That's, yeah, I definitely was paying attention the whole time when you were talking about that. No, it sounds interesting. The Venmo
and you can
Venmo relation makes a ton of sense, right? Like the classic joke is when you are going on a big trip in business school and everyone Venmos you, beforehand, then you should just go and invest that in Bitcoin and then just ride it.
Exactly. I mean, so yeah, that's basically what we do actually at the company.
No, I love that. Dude, so sales, what's your strategy there?
Wow, good question. So for all the listeners at home who don't know my background, it's not sales at all, actually. Operations. It's business operations, revenue operations, and sales operations, as well as some digital marketing stuff.
Nick, what does revenue operations mean? Like, I think I know what it means, but at this point, I'm too scared to ask.
You're asking the right questions. I appreciate that. Don't be afraid.
Okay, thank you.
Revenue operations is sort of the modern way of saying sales ops, customer ops, marketing ops, but sort of bucketing it in a way that serves all of the revenue generating teams in a business, typically sort of a SaaS business, and kind of puts a modern take on it just because there's sort of less siloing because they use a lot of the same business systems, a lot of the same data. So you're kind of connecting everything there. So when I say it, it's especially at an earlier stage company or where there's sort of less folks involved. It's sort of a go-to-market operations and a lot of the execution as well. Sales. So switched into sales. Really, we call it partnerships because we operate in a B2B2C fashion, but it's hard. It's fun, but it's hard. I have a lot of empathy for everyone who does sales, and it's challenged me and grown me in so many ways this past 6 or 7 months. You have experience in sales as well.
I did my first job out of college, slinging virtual reality for this company when I was still kicking, and it was brutal. Multiple times a month, I would get emails like people telling me just to go fuck myself. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really made me feel good.
Here's my strategy. It's not a secret.
Oh my God.
But maybe
no, we won't post it. We won't post this.
You get the phone and you call them. It works. It's crazy. A lot of people are sitting there behind, email. I ignore all of my emails. But if someone calls me and then they call me back again, I'll pick it up. I think that is the ticket. You build a little rapport and then you sort of work your way in.
Yeah.
That's been my biggest unlock.
Dude, that's awesome. I recently changed the setting on my iPhone where numbers that I don't have go straight to voicemail. In fact, and it kind of changed my life because I just would get so many spam calls. You pick it up and they're like talking in, not English. And I just had to turn it on. You do miss things though. You will miss calls from like, oh, hey, we set up this call at this time. And then I just get a voicemail, but I'm literally on my phone every millisecond. So I see it 5 minutes later.
Yeah. That is, I'd say, totally fine, right? Like if you're talking about generating new business, it's a numbers game anyway. So some folks will, and then you just leave them a voicemail. I haven't turned that on. I do get so much spam. I think part of it is there's, I buy some domains. It's just kind of it's not a hobby. It's, future ideas. So I'll buy a domain. In the next month or two, you get added to a call list for somebody who thinks you're starting a business. And they're like, hey, can we sell you our services for website building, for marketing? And so those ones, you start recognizing the area code though. And then you just say, those codes, you just cancel.
Dude, 100%.
It's a tough game out there. When you were selling, what was your biggest win and your biggest loss?
My biggest win was I helped us get into some NFL teams, which was pretty cool. My biggest loss is that I got on a call and someone asked me where my mom was. They're like, oh, is your mom going to come on the call? Because you obviously have no idea what you're talking about. And that was like my first or second week at the company. And I was just like, oh my God, people are so mean, dude. They're so mean. Speaking of mean, we both started making TikToks for different reasons. People are mean on TikTok, dude. The messages that I get, and I'm literally making TikToks, Nick, with the intention of bringing people to my company. And I just, like you, I just make funny stuff, things that I think is funny. I just walk and film. And it's like, oh, this funny thing happened. And people are literally say, I hope you die. A lot of people question my sexuality a lot on TikTok. I don't know why.
Do you think that, just putting it out there, do you think that maybe you deserve all of this hate?
Ooh, I think that the core, a big unlock for me is realizing that people being mad comes from being sad, right? Madness root is sadness. And so whenever anyone's mad at you, they're actually just sad that you didn't act in a way that they wanted. And so I think everyone's just sad at me on TikTok. I don't know. It's pretty douchey to say it that way, but
I
helps
like
me sleep at night.
I think that's really doing the things that help you sleep at night actually is, if we're talking about unlocks, like that's the unlock. Because, your own perception here is the only thing that like actually matters. And if you have to tell yourself, I tell myself stuff every day that helps me sleep at night. And I think that sometimes I even have my Alexa programmed to tell me stuff when I'm going to bed to just sort of hype me up. It's just, it's part of the game, you got to fake it.
Totally, dude. Perception's reality. For me, I rationalize if you saw one of my TikToks and you thought, oh, that's cringe, then it's like, okay, swipe, and then you don't think about it ever again. And second, I've just like stopped looking at the comments. And so then literally it doesn't even exist to me what people want. So it doesn't matter.
I think that we're on a podcast right now.
We are on a podcast.
I'm on a podcast. Now, I would love to see some comments on this sort of section about comments. What would somebody commenting on this have to say if they were trying to take a shit on this discussion?
Probably just that we're just two males doing a podcast. They don't need that in the world anymore. But to your point, so much of media now is not just what happens in the Coliseum, it's the crowd reaction, right? Like you see a funny TikTok, the first thing you do is go to the comments.
That's true. That's true. I don't personally actually do that, but I do see...
Okay, sorry.
I do see my wife do that, and that is, from what I've heard, the actual, at least 50% of the joy. So I hope actually, let's see how this performs in terms of comments. But my hope,
rip us in the comments. We're posting this clip.
Rip it.
I want everyone in the comment to post the meanest thing that they can about Nick and I, and then we'll just take it and we'll grow from it.
Yeah, and just maybe like there's a guitar here. This is my bed I sleep in. I'm wearing a button-down shirt. It's a Thursday now. I mean, I haven't shaved, I think, in a little while.
Jeez.
Okay. Well, I mean, we'll see what we get.
No, this is good. So you love working with wood. Do you respect wood?
Those are the questions are really hard-hitting today. So the answer is yes. I mean, it's a resounding yes. For the haters, I actually built that out of wood behind my bed. So that's one of my prized possessions. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for trees. I'm actually trying to grow a tree right now.
Really? In Brooklyn?
In Brooklyn. It's an avocado tree.
And so you and your wife are moving to San Diego in a bit. Are you worried that you're going to become really soft?
It's like a top 10 concern. Home prices are one of them. Getting not having enough cold weather. And not having enough seasons is another concern. Being too close to the beach, I think, is another concern. But I do think that I'm going to become soft. I mean, the rugged exterior you see now from the hard streets of Brooklyn, it's really developed me into a strong man.
Yeah.
What do you feel? I mean, having spent time in both places, what's your biggest takeaway? And would you ever come back?
Yeah, so I'll give you my dating example. In New York, girls ask you where you grew up skiing because they want to know how wealthy your family is. And in LA, they ask you what your birthday is because they want to know what your sign is. And then I say, oh, I'm a Gemini. And then they go, oh, that's a red flag and the date's over. But in reality, it's much harder to live in New York. In New York, it's cold and then it's humid and you have to get in the Uber and the subway. In LA, you wake up every day and it's 75. Like I literally biked to the gym today. I was in New York a couple days ago. It was 30 degrees and today it's 75 degrees. And it's just much easier to live here. And so I think there's more grit.
Bring back Southern California. I think here's my thesis. Everyone lives in the Bay Area, then everyone moves to New York, and then everyone ultimately settles down in Southern California. You're leading the charge. I will soon be moving and helping to bring the charge behind. And then there's the long tail, and that's okay. I think being a leader, New York, a lot of action. It's sexy, but it's cold. And sometimes when I'm just sitting here in my room, I reflect on the fact that in like the last hour, I've heard like 15 different sirens from ambulances and police and whatnot. It's just it's an active place,
Yeah. So you are married officially, excuse me.
We're married officially sort of as of end of December. The real wedding, we'll say, the ceremonial one that people will actually come to is still a little ways out.
Nice. And I'm 31, you're 31. But sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I still feel 21. Maybe this is me projecting, but it's awesome. I can't believe you're married.
I can't believe I'm married either. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I would say maybe broadly, just having a relationship where you feel this confident is not something, despite having a lot of really, really awesome relationships in my past.
Shout out your exes.
Shout out to all the exes.
Yeah.
And I've just had this like feeling of confidence that I think you don't get until there's this sort of match. And I heard Maggie the other day talking to, I think, a friend about not even if we met like 5 years before, we just weren't at the same place where it would have like matched. But, her journey and development and, getting over certain issues, and same on my end. I mean, I think coming out of my most recent relationship had sort of primed me to like understand what I was looking for and have just a different level of maturity about certain things. And it just worked. And yeah, I mean, I couldn't be happier. Best part, honestly, though, is sort of a mutual obsession with Taylor Swift.
Yes, that's exactly where I thought you were going with that. My theory on relationship, Nick, it's a triangle, 3 parts of the triangle, and the triangle rotates based on where you're on the relationship. So it's best friend, partner, and then lover, right? And in one word, it's emotional, intellectual, physical. But to your point, the triangle is held up by timing. Without timing, the triangle falls to HE double hockey sticks.
It does. That's insightful, Conrad.
Thank you. No, Maggie is, for the chat, for the comments, Maggie's wonderful, wonderful human being. Also went to Stanford with us. Great person. And then when you do get married, fun fact for you, married men make more money, live longer, and report higher happiness levels. What has been the biggest change for you since getting married?
It's only been about a month. Let me think on that for a minute. I think the best part, and the biggest change, I guess, is feeling like the rest of my life is dialed. You feel a little more dialed. A little more secure in what's about to happen. So that sense of security, I think, creates peace. Yeah. Couldn't be happier. Yeah. Maggie's a rock star. And actually you were in the same master's program with her?
Where she was very smart.
What's the craziest thing that's happened with Maggie?
I think that it was just, I sat in the back and thought I was cool, and she sat in the front and was like engaged.
Yeah. Sounds like
her. Yeah, which was awesome. I mean, like, it was great. And then I'd be like, hey, Maggie, I know we have a test tomorrow. Do you have any notes or anything? And then she'd send me the most beautiful, like Google Doc of all time. I would just be like, dang, why did I even go to class if I knew that I would have gotten this, at the end? But it's okay. Life's about what you did.
So let me ask you a question. How much AI do you use for note taking these days?
So none for note taking, but I would love your thoughts there. I use ChatGPT every single day, all the time, constantly, particularly to write emails and things like that.
I realized I was taking a lot of manual notes, and I was thinking about this because, in the classroom setting, creating a good Google Doc requires a little bit of like effort here and a little bit less like, let me just consume and absorb. So I was just thinking literally yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, how can I better capture notes and not have to like rely on just note taking so that I can pay attention and clock things more. And I think it's like it becomes like a memory issue if you're not really paying attention, because your memory is just on paper. So I'm looking into solutions, but I don't really have an insight to share quite yet. I did download an app, and the app was meant to just be you can basically voice note and store things, and it transcribes it, it summarizes it. So more thoughts to come, but I think it's the future.
I like that a lot. There are those note-taking apps for that plug into Zoom and stuff, right? Have you ever used anything like that?
I have, and that's the funny part, is that I actually have one of those on every single one of my calls already, yet I still notes, because the summary, while good, it doesn't actually, there's something missing in terms of me having an easy way to go through an hour-long transcript and extract the key things. So there's some kind of like delta there in the like productization of this. Want to start a company?
Oh, totally, dude. I mean, I think we should start a company right now. Yeah. It's a great idea. If you put AI in your company, you automatically raise with like 100 million valuation.
That's true.
Yeah, dude,
is life
for sure. We're going to use AI. We're starting in supplements. We're trying to figure out how to integrate AI, and we will someday. I will say, between us, it's been so fun starting a consumer company. It's what I've always wanted to do. I will never start a consumer company again after this. It's too slow, and manufacturing is slow, and you always think that you are the target customer, and in reality, you're not. So I want to make B2B AI next, dude. I want to find some nerd from Stanford who, has an AI degree, and I'll be like, hey, dude, I'll be the biz guy, which means like you literally do nothing, and you be the AI guy.
I love being the biz guy. So, I think...
Well, dude, you'll do all the revenue.
Yeah.
I'll do the TikToks, and then the other person will do the AI infrastructure.
Doing the work. Very cool. Well, maybe we can put together a captive to this.
Yeah, no, I'm down. Yeah, we'll get some investors for sure. I'm not worried about it. What are your thoughts on crypto?
I bought a few Bitcoin in 2012.
Wow. What was it on then? How did you buy it then?
I bought it on Coinbase. I had a dorm mate a few doors down who had started a crypto wallet, a Bitcoin wallet, and like Bitcoin kind of lead gen app or something like that. So he kind of introduced the whole hall, first floor, Cedro, Stanford. And he ended up selling that to Coinbase. So we all sort of like were in the know. I spent 400 in Bitcoin.
I got, so that's worth like 300 grand now.
Yeah. So I'm loaded.
Wow. That's awesome, dude.
I sold it and I made $900 in profit in 2012 for like
Wait, pause. You bought it and sold it in 2012?
Yeah. Maybe it was 2013.
No. That's not where I thought the story was going.
Well, I think you have to think about things sort of like in context, which is now $100,000 seems like a lot for a Bitcoin, but back then $900 of free money was about as good as it gets. So it was kind of a no-brainer. And so, I mean, no regrets.
That's a lot of beers at the old pro. Dude, I've tried to get into the meme coins and stuff that, they buy them at 0.00001 cents, and then it goes to like 0.1 cents, and you can make like so much money. And I have tried to get into like the Discords and the channels and things like that. And I've realized as soon as someone like Conrad hears about a meme coin, it's already dead.
Yeah.
It's already dead. I've lost a lot of money doing that stuff, and it's been a hard lesson.
I've tried a couple, less meme, more just small coins. And I just have, the money still sitting there, and we'll see, maybe it's 10 years, it's 20 years. It's kind of just a long shot, low risk, potentially high reward bet. What's the get rich quick schemes? I mean, you kind of love them, you kind of hate them. What's your thought?
My thought is I've always been burned. My example is in business school, Elon Musk was going on Saturday Night Live, and this was right when Dogecoin kind of had come out, and I was not sober. And so I put like a relatively significant amount of money into Dogecoin, and I was like, he's going on SNL, it's going to skyrocket, and then I'm going to sell it. And literally it dropped in half. And I'm just like, what? I don't get it. I don't get it, dude. I don't get it. So that's my get rich quick stuff. But I also remember in high school, some of our buddies, high school and college, there was like, I feel like pyramid schemes are always popping up, dude. You remember that one? There was like, our buddies were selling us like these protein drinks or something. And they were like, no, it's not multi-level marketing. You just need to get more people to buy in, and then you get money.
Yeah, I only bought a couple sets. And it worked. The protein worked. You can always sell protein. I think that's, well, I guess talking to somebody who's in the supplements and direct-to-consumer space, if you had to sell one thing besides kind of the current product set that you think is hot, that doesn't really fail, I guess, in the long run, like still competitive, right? But what stands out? Protein?
No doubt I would sell longevity things to ultra high net worth people, because ultra high net worth people, if you get them in, hey, I'm going to make you live longer, there's pretty much no limit to their willingness to pay. So if you have any ideas around getting in with ultra high net worth people and having them think that they're going to live longer and get them on a subscription, that's what I'm into. What about you?
That's good. If I was ultra, well, I mean, yeah, if I was ultra high,
You're a former Bitcoin owner.
Exactly. Yeah, it's hard to say, what is the longevity what I want? Yeah, I guess I can't see it because I'm not ultra high net worth. So it really is a clear divide.
Yeah. You're a former ultra high net worth person.
Part of me wants to go to space if I had the money.
Ooh, that's cool.
Even if it was like a one-way trip, you know what I mean? Like maybe sounds
just pop up, dude.
Yeah, just go up and like maybe take one of those cryo sleep chamber things that you see on like Interstellar. Wake up like a few years later, like next to Saturn, go through a wormhole. Could be sick.
Dang. I love that, dude. Amazing. Okay. We're moving forward here. Now we're going to go to the speed round, Nick B. And I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to say a short phrase and you just give me a one-word answer as best you can. You ready?
Ready.
Favorite life teacher?
Conrad.
Worst teacher? Doesn't have to be a person.
No comment.
Nice, good. Discus or kicking?
Kicking.
Nice. Favorite protein source?
Salmon.
Track and field practice?
No.
Best athlete you've ever seen?
Shout out to Valerie Allman.
Dude, Olympian. Yes. Big shout out. Brooklyn or Manhattan?
Brooklyn.
Most overrated New York food?
Wow. It's all good. It's all good. I love New York food.
Nice.
No,
nice. The chat loves you now, dude. Atomic Invest.
Going to the moon?
Yep. Love. Wedding planning.
Costly. But fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who spends more money, Nick or his wife?
Nick.
Yes. We're bougie. We're bougie guys, dude. We're bougie guys. More nerves meeting with a CEO or a track meet?
CEO, I guess. Not
Nice.
anymore. I'm building up the thick skin, Conrad. I mean,
yeah, you got to, dude. Sales. Okay. China.
Great food.
Have you been to China?
Never been.
No, we should go, dude. I think there's a flight out tonight. We should just hop on.
Have you been to
most unexpected learning as an adult?
God, not a lightning round question, but I'll give you a lightning round answer.
Yeah.
Soup, meal prep. Great.
At your wedding, if you and Maggie did a his and a hers cocktail, what would the his be and what would the hers be?
His would be a Manhattan.
Hot.
His second one would be an Aperol Spritz.
Also hot.
Hers would probably also be an Aperol Spritz. Her second one would probably also be a Manhattan. This is why we're a match.
Yeah, no, I get it. Honeymoon destination.
Greek island?
Ooh, I was just there. We did Mykonos, Santorini. It was great. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Chris or Diego?
Wow. Both.
Nice. Good answer. We love them both. What's next for Nick B?
What's next? Looking to buy a house.
Here, we can use your Bitcoins that don't exist.
Yeah. Gonna liquidate all
I
that.
love it. Dude, well, Nick, this has been awesome, man. Any final sign-off words for the chat before we go?
Thank you for giving me a soapbox to stand on. Let me see if I can come up with something.
Take your time.
For all the commenters out there, something that regularly strikes me that I'm happy to discuss with here or in the future with, a commenter who wants to maybe @sign me is the nature of like a reaction culture. I think that reacting to things, having emotional reaction to things is one of the big sort of like causes of polarization, is one of the causes of things that may not be an issue becoming an issue. And I can give you maybe a micro example, even in my relationship with Maggie. If you hear something and it's a little bit like rubs you the wrong way, if you react and sort of be like, what? It creates an issue. If you give it a second and maybe assume the most plausible, realistic, and like not such a negative assumption out of it and, give it a beat or maybe give it a day. Like, you never know, I think, what kind of, like, impact it'll have. I think in general in society, on the societal level, seeing the reaction culture of any given one thing happening and sort of the shockwave effect that it has on society versus having a little bit more of a long-term vision, is just, it's a little bit painful to see. So there's my societal comment. I think that in a relationship one-to-one and small groups and business and personal life and societal reaction, quick reactions, emotional reactions without a little bit of time are causing pain. What do you think? Give me an
That's deep, man. No, it's good. I'm trying to take your advice and listen and take it in. I think that's beautiful. I think that people want to get mad a lot. Like, the classic quote is, like, good times create, like, soft men create hard times create strong men, and strong men create good times, right? It's like the vicious cycle. And I think people want conflict. And you're saying, hey, we don't need conflict. You can chill, assume the best. And to your point, what is the classic thing too? Like, wait 10 seconds before you, like, yell.
Or don't write that email response when you're still feeling upset.
Yeah.
Anything where there's a kind of emotion involved, you got to just give it a beat.
Yeah. That's a really good advice, man. Dang. No, I like that. I like that. That's a great sign off. That's beautiful. But dude, well, thank you. Well, let's end it there. I think this is awesome.
All right.
Guys, feel free to.
It's been so fun chatting with you. I appreciate you on the pod. It's been a blast. Gave me an opportunity to really explore some of these fun moments of our past and some philosophical topics, perhaps, and maybe given the haters some opportunity to comment. So
Absolutely.
Fired up.
Absolutely. I love it, dude. Thanks for coming on. And in sign off, be sure to follow us, like, and subscribe. LOL. So cringe saying this, but you got to say it. We're at For Sure Pod, because I like saying the name. I like saying For Sure. And shout out to lifespark.bio for supporting today's episode. Until next time. Peace.
Thank you, LifeSpark.